and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And today we're talking about The Faculty. I did not realize how old this movie is. It came out in 1998. We're old people, Meg.
I didn't realize how old we were. I know, I remember seeing this movie, and then you watch it, and it's like, oh, okay, mortality, I'm gonna die someday.
I was like, well, this just came out a couple years ago. It's not even old enough for us to talk about. It came out in 98. That's 21 years ago.
Yeah, 21 years ago. Like, we're all gonna die. Like, you watch something like that, and you're like, now I know what my parents feel like when they're talking about things that happened 20 years ago. Remember when your parents used to do that, and you're like, oh, okay.
Like, well, we were saying, like, what we've become our parents because our parents used to, like, enjoy a nice cup of coffee. Now we're like, let's go get some coffee, and not in, like, a Starbucks, like, wait, we just need, like, a cup of coffee.
And we, like, physically need it, and, like, that's what we're looking forward to in the afternoon. It's like, it's my highlight, it's 3 p.m., like, and it's on a schedule for me. I'm like, oh, it's 2:30, I better get my cup of joe.
Oh, I know. My mom always used to, like, be like, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy this cup of coffee. I'm like, ugh. And now I am that person.
My parents had, like, a green thermos, and we'd be, like, on a trip, and they'd be like, it needs to get filled up, and I'd be like, fucking stop with the coffee, like, who cares? Like,
my parents had that green thermos, too.
I'm going to show up with it next time I come over, like, unironically. I'm going to be using the little plastic thing at the top they use to drink.
Oh, The Faculty. Okay, so this movie came out in 1998. Like, we're old.
You keep saying it because it's just so, like, but even when you say 1998 to me, that I'm like, yeah, that was like 2 years ago. So it's
I know.
But it wasn't. Like, there are people who were born in 1998 that are 21 and drinking right now.
Like, while they're listening to this. Okay, Kevin Williamson wrote this. He also wrote Scream, if you remember. Robert Rodriguez directed this. Like, these are some solid people involved.
Yeah, it's really random. I was telling Luke that. I was like, I watch a Faculty, and he's like, that's so random. And I'm like, did you know that Robert Rodriguez directed it? And he's like, what? I mean, it's just such an odd, I never knew that. I guess it explains why Selma Hayek's in it. I don't know. But there's so many people in this movie, too.
It has a really solid cast. So this had a budget of $15 million. It made $40 million at the box office. It's only 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I saw it when it came out, and I remember the reason I liked it, and this is showing me, is because they mentioned the X-Files in it. I'm like, they mentioned the X-Files. I love this movie.
Yeah, we had a low bar. And it has Robert Patrick in it, who went on to be in the X-Files right after.
It's so 90s. Josh Hartnett's hair.
Everyone's everything, like those sandals that everyone was wearing that are like chunky with the one big thick strap over it. And yeah, everyone is so 90s. This is when I was in high school, so it just felt very, it reminded me, so I watched it with my friends, and oh my gosh, I don't know why, but when we watched it, I remember my friend and I thought Jon Stewart was cute in it.
You were in love with Jon Stewart.
Like, I was watching it now, and I'm like, why did I remember us being like, oh my god, he looks cute.
And he's like a teacher.
Like, I mean, I know, and it's like Josh Hartnett. There's like other people. What's wrong?
I love that. On the opposite end of that spectrum, it was Robert Patrick because of who he was in the X-Files, and we felt like he was, replacing Mulder or something. We had a piñata of Robert Patrick. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I mean, it was him as Doggett, because we didn't like Doggett. I mean, now I can look back on it and be like, it's okay. It's not Doggett's fault or Robert Patrick's fault for any changes that happened to the X-Files. We should have had a Chris Carter piñata.
Yeah, like looking back. But it was a pirate, and then we put Robert Patrick's face on it and hit it.
But he's a fine character actor who's been in many wonderful things, like Fire in the Sky and Terminator 2 and this movie. He gets to, it seemed like he was having a lot of fun in this movie. He gets to be the bad guy, so, you know.
There's this common trope and theme of football or sports versus the arts that gets brought up in this movie. And the theater department, they just want to do Guys and Dolls, and they can't afford it because the football team needs new uniforms or something.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of, I think, you know, obviously film people are theater people in a lot of ways, so I'm sure they kind of like had fun playing with that, you know.
And they had an inside joke for theater people. If you heard this one, they were like, oh, you know, we just need some money to do Guys and Dolls, and they're like, oh, just use last year's set from Our Town, but the play Our Town doesn't have a set, so it's an inside joke for theater people.
Oh, yeah, see, I didn't catch that. I figured there was some meaning there that I didn't like garner, but oh, that's funny. Okay.
I'm like, oh, that was a nice little wink, because like not everybody will know that, and I love it. I said it's creepy when he runs in blowing the whistle. And even before any of this alien stuff happens or that we know of, it's scary because on a very real level, it's like, wait, what's going on?
Well, yeah, the whole part where Bebe Neuwirth is in the school by herself and Robert Patrick is just threatening and you don't know like what yet is the issue. It just feels like kind of rapey and weird and like you don't really know what's going to happen and then I thought the opening sequence of the movie was actually pretty good. And then, you know, Piper Laurie seems like very innocent and then she ends up being the murderer then at the end and of the sequence and I thought they did a good job right away. You're like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be scary."
Yeah, I thought it was set up really well, and I can't believe the cast that they got. I mean, Robert Rodriguez, I think this was sort of, he was very hot at this time because of, I don't know, Desperado is what I'm thinking of, but, you know, he and Quentin Tarantino were sort of on this wave of popularity. But, oh my God, everybody at this high school is the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you feel bad, of course, for Elijah Wood right away, and yeah, I mean, they did a lot of the like high school tropes, obviously, of like the new girl, the bitchy girl that's like popular and all those kind of things. But it didn't feel super synthetic. They all felt like they had a little bit of depth to them. I mean, for a sci-fi horror teen movie, like I like Clea Duvall's character felt like a very real sort of person, even though she's very much on the like goth spectrum or whatever, you know. Everybody had their particular archetypes, but they still felt like you cared and you kind of wanted to see what they were up to.
I agree. And oh my God, another scene that we don't even know yet if this is supernatural or not, but that older teacher coming into the shower and her hair and like part of her scalp is falling off, and they end up explaining it like, oh, she's going through chemo or whatever. Can you imagine if that happened?
Yeah, that was done really well. It's so creepy. Like, because again, it doesn't even necessarily have to be supernatural. Like, it could just be that this teacher's like raving mad or whatever. But it would be so scary. I mean, and it's plausible. It could happen. Unlike, you know, the things that happen later that are really out of this world. That's very much real world.
Now, you were crushing on Jon Stewart in this movie. I was crushing on Josh Hartnett, I remember. And his character, I think he's Zeke. I mean, he's selling some drugs. He's kind of a bad boy. He's also selling VHS tapes out of his trunk.
I know! So, like, Luke talks about how back in the day, he had like a floppy disk of Carmen Electra, like how Josh Hartnett is like selling stuff, because that's how you had to do it, is like literally, and then you would have to put it in and then you'd have to watch it download like very slowly, like, you know, for 10 minutes. But he's like, the kids these days don't understand.
The struggle was real.
The struggle was real to get to the naked pictures of women, and you know, you had to sell VHSs like Josh Hartnett. And can I say, Josh Hartnett's never done it for me. Not in this movie and not in anything. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You know, but you know what he did it for me in? Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But Meg is a whatever. I don't know. Okay, Jon Stewart.
I know. I was watching it going, why? He's a dorky science teacher. He's not cute. I don't know what I was thinking. But I guess
you just said it. He's a dorky science teacher. That's your type.
True, but I like a little a little cuter usually.
And though, to go circle back to Josh Hartnett, I've never sought out a movie with him in it just because he's in it, unlike a lot of my other crushes. I mean, he's never been a crush.
You don't have to defend your love for Josh Hartnett.
I like this premise of the faculty are all in on it together and the kids aren't believed because, I mean, isn't that how we all feel at some point in our lives? Like, I don't know. It's good. It's like the authority, and why would they believe the kids?
Right. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. It's like people don't listen to kids, and I feel like I should have had a crush on Elijah Wood, but I just never liked Elijah Wood either. But like his character, I usually like that type. I usually like the underdog, the cute underdog. But anyway.
And also speaking of that, oh sorry. Go ahead.
No, my mind just keeps going to who I should think is cute, but really there's just no one. That's the problem.
That's what it comes back to. I wrote down that this quarterback guy, he wasn't a typical casting choice because I feel like he's not the typical quarterback, like looks and height and handsomeness level that we're used to seeing in a movie. And so maybe they purposely did this in order to make people seem more real, because I don't think there's anybody who's like stereotypically quote unquote high school hot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think they did try to kind of cast a little bit more like they weren't trying to have like a huge beefcake that is like clearly not in high school type look. Because they do feel like they're in high school. Yeah. They did a good job. And the faculty too seem like real people. How do you feel as a faculty? How do you feel the faculty was represented in this movie?
I mean, I think it was pretty well done, and I think it's true. I used to work in some high schools, and this teachers lounge where they're talking shit about the kids, that happens. I wasn't one of the people talking crap. Oh, yeah. But like I remember like the first time I went into my old high school, I shouldn't call them out, but let's just say like some people were in there talking about kids. I'm like, what? Did they do this when I was in school?
I'm sure they never said anything bad about you.
Yeah, it was fine. I do have to say though, I realize it's 1998, but the CGI isn't great in this movie.
No, I mean, it's unfortunate because it's like you see things like that and it just dates it, and then forever it is what it is, and it's like. And then it's really dated, and I mean, I guess it was okay. I'm guessing they didn't have a huge budget, and I mean, just in 21 years, how much has changed. I like the concept of the creature, but it almost would have been better if we'd seen less, because they couldn't stick the landing exactly.
I mean, just think about The Void, that came out on Netflix a couple years ago, and similar concept with creature, but yet that was all practical effects, and it worked better than this, I thought.
Yeah, I think they were getting so like horny for CGI at this time. Like people just forgot that you could actually still do really good movie making with the old school way of doing things. And yeah, I think at this time it was kind of when CGI was really going out of control, and sometimes it was good and most of the time it wasn't.
I like that, they have to use this Zeke guy. I know Josh Hartnett, I'm bringing him up again, but he's actually smart, and they've got to use science and some knowledge, and it ends up being his like drug thing in order to defeat these creatures. And I like that it was, using some actual science.
It goes against type again, where it's like kind of playing with like, what you would think, how you think he's going to act. So they kind of subverted your expectations there a little bit, which is nice.
And I thought it was really dark when they shot the principal, because they're like, oh, she's definitely an alien or she's not. And they killed her, and they showed like the way they shot it, and no pun intended, like it was really dark.
Yeah, it was actually. I mean, thankfully they were right, I guess. But yeah, it was funny because I hadn't seen this movie since I was a teenager. And so I didn't remember everything that was going to happen. But I knew, like, I just kept having this bad feeling about the blonde girl the whole time. And it was just so funny because I had no memory of what was going to happen. But it was like, it was implanted in my brain that like don't trust her, you know. So it's just kind of funny how those things work, where it's like I just sort of inherently knew that something was up with her. And I like that it was her, and she was like because she kind of had the romance with Josh Hartnett, and so you don't expect it and everything. So
And again, it was subverting our expectations because against type, she seems like the weakest character, but really she's the strongest. And I was looking at all of these leads, and all the women in it, Clea Duvall's the only one that still has an active career. Jordana Brewster apparently was in the Fast and the Furious movies, but I have never seen a Fast and the Furious movie.
me neither. And I'm probably gonna go to my grave without seeing one, and I think it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Also, Elijah Wood, this is pre Lord of the Rings, so I mean, I feel like, he probably blew up. I mean, did he blow up? Is he around? I don't know.
I tell this story all the time, but like growing up, I was in love with Jonathan Brandis. My friend was in love with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and we would get those tiger beats and all that, and they'd have Elijah Wood in there, and we would like cross out his picture because we thought he was so ugly. And Jonathan Brandis killed himself. Jonathan Taylor Thomas has no career, and look what happened to Elijah Wood. We didn't like him in Tiger Beat, but he has a career.
Yeah, I know. I do remember like when we've talked about this before, but when those magazines, you liked a person on both sides. It's like, which side do I put up?
Which side? Which side do I do? But it was always Jonathan Brandis for me.
See, kids, the struggle is real. Like, you don't even know what we had to go through.
We couldn't just go on the internet and look up pictures of Jonathan Brandis.
You had to tear them out of a magazine. So they use the bleachers to crush her, and then they stab the druggist in her eye to defeat her. And I wrote down that I feel like it's a fake ending and that Casey is dreaming it all from inside a pod. Wouldn't that be cool? I'm rewriting all these movies.
Yeah, that's your new thing. We should just do like Kelly's rewrite corner part of the episode where you're like,
so today I'm rewriting Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Yeah, just start at the top.
Here, Margaret Mitchell, this is what I would have done. Shakespeare, let me tell you a thing or two.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll just start with The Faculty.
Wait, you don't have faith in my rewriting literature classics?
Yeah.
No, but I,
Would be cool. That would be cool, Kelly.
Okay, thanks. What's her name? Famke Janssen?
I think it's Famke Janssen, right? Isn't she Finnish or something?
I don't think she's Finnish, but because I don't know. But that's an interesting, like, she's got the sort of thing with Josh Hartnett, and that whole sequence is fun. I don't know. I think this was a fun movie. I don't really have anything profound to say about it.
I mean, I like how they talked about Invasion of the Pod People. I almost said Blood Farmers. I love how they reference the X-Files. It was very much a movie of its time. It actually kind of made me remember high school and almost kind of quasi fondly for a moment there, which is kind of nice. That doesn't always happen. And kind of remembering those times, remembering me and my friend thinking Jon Stewart was cute, and just kind of like I remember being excited to watch this movie with my friends, and so it kind of like brought back some nostalgia for me of that time period. And I think that it's a fun movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's got some decent dialogue in it. I wouldn't like tout it as this amazing horror movie that everyone needs to see, but I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I'm not gonna, like, sometimes when I rewatch a movie, I'm like, oh, I have to make sure to tell somebody to watch this, or like I'll get Campbell to watch it or something, or I'm gonna put this on my list to rewatch again. It's not in any of those categories, but I didn't hate rewatching it.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, I watched it shortly after watching The Changeling, which had been a really kind of long, quiet movie, and so it was kind of fun to just sort of like be in that sort of high school horror movie space for a moment. And sci-fi horror, it hasn't always been my most favorite like subgenre, but I would say I'd put it up there with some of the others of that genre that I really thought is good, and I like this concept of being taken over, and I also too like how they were able to like live afterward, and there's kind of like a happy ending at the end and everything, so it's kind of like a feel good movie.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's a good popcorn movie, you know? And because not everything needs to be Gone with the Wind.
Rewritten for the modern era by Kelly.
That movie would be a lot shorter because I would have gotten her with Rhett Butler in the beginning. Sorry.
Right away.
Get rid of Ashley.
Yeah. There might be some racism to fix too, but
Well, definitely that.
Oh, okay.
But she's getting with Rhett.
Well, obviously, I mean, have you seen that man?
Clark Gable, kiss me often and do it well. He
Yes.
would.
And when he carries her up the staircase,
God.
don't rewrite that part. Keep that part in.
God.
We're really horny because there was nobody in this movie that was hot.
Clark Gable! And it's so funny because, like, if he existed now, I mean, I think Adam Driver and Clark Gable have a similar energy. Meg's face, because they're not necessarily conventionally attractive, but in the right setting or character, they are. What do you think, Clark Gable versus Adam Driver?
I don't even know how to unpack that. I feel like Clark Gable is attractive by all standards. Have you seen his grandson host Cheaters?
Pull up his picture. No, I didn't know that.
His grandson, Clark Gable, like the third or whatever, hosted that stupid Cheaters show. You know, that Joey whatever Greco hosted? I'm looking. Clark Gable, is it? Yeah, Cheaters. Okay. It was like the third choice on here. He does not look like his grandpa.
Oh, well, see, this is what I was hoping, that you were going to be like, he's the most handsome man that ever lived.
Well, I guess he does look like him a bit, but
Yeah, he's Clark Gable-esque, but yeah, I'm not in love with him.
so I guess like because when you said like if he was around now, then I was thinking like he'd be hosting Cheaters.
Oh, Clark Gable.
But maybe he would have the roles that Adam Driver has. I could see what you're saying. I could see him being Kylo Ren.
We're recasting. And so would Vivian Lee be Rey?
Sure. You just take that and you run with it for your Kelly rewrite corner.
Oh boy, there's gonna be a fanfic. It's like an AU of like Star Wars and Gone with the Wind, like.
And it's gonna have a fake name on it, but it's gonna be written by Kelly.
Do you think that exists? Like, there's a lot of strange things that exist.
I don't know how Luke and I stumbled across it, but there was Property Brothers fan fiction.
Oh, I know how you stumbled. No, just kidding.
But we were like, yeah.
Did you read some?
No, but it was the brothers.
Wait, the brother, it's like slash them. They're together.
So if there's that, then there's got to be Gone with the Wind, Star Wars. I mean, there's every fan fiction. Whether or not it's archived on the internet or not, there's everything fan fiction.
I mean, it's true. And, they talk about, like, oh, this fandom invented fan fiction. It's like, actually, it's probably been around forever. People were probably writing, like, Bible fan fiction. I mean, is the Bible fan fiction?
That's the topic of our next podcast.
It's like Jesus fanfic.
Yeah. Let's do it. He's so hot. No, but like, and I remember I found there's Cars fan fiction of like Lightning McQueen and Sally.
What?
Like, there's strange people out there. There's strange people. So like,
we're not shaming any of your kinks,
no,
but
But I mean, the Property Brothers, really?
Together? I mean, I was going to say I can see, like, if somebody's doing a self-insert fanfic with, like, they're both there or something, but with them together, I don't know.
I know, it's fun. Go to, like, fanfiction.net and just look up the most random stuff. It's fun.
People are on AO3 now, Meg.
Oh, No, I actually do. Is that Archive of Our
Yeah.
Own? That's where I go, but I was sending people to the other place.
I see. Because you're saying there's crappy stuff there.
Yeah, I'm saying go there, so I could be at Archive of Our Own looking at my fanfic I want to read. That's not weird.
We're so old. I remember, like, probably in 98 discovering, like, X-Files fanfic, and I was like, where has this been all my life?
But then there was the weird stuff.
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Why are they putting these people together? Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to each their own.
Like, I remember, I mean, and this is not even weird in retrospect, but the first time I saw, like, all this Scully and Skinner fanfic, I was like, wait, why? But, like, that's the least weird thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, now it's like, that's completely normal.
Now it's like Scully and the host. It's like, okay.
Ooh, like Shape of Water style.
Oh, gross, the host. If you know that X-Files episode, I think it's season 2, and it's disgusting. It's the Fluke Man. People, like, want to get with him? What?
It's like, people who want to, like, get with, Thanos. There's a lot of people who like Thanos that way. Explain that to me.
No.
And tell me that you would prefer Jon Stewart.
Wait, am I choosing between Thanos and Jon Stewart right now? Yeah. I mean, but Thanos is really powerful if you're into that.
And purple. If you like Barney.
Okay, we need to rank this movie on a scale of 0 to 10.
This really went off the rails.
What is our scale for The Faculty? Is it those pens with the drug in it?
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett popping that cap off that pen? You don't think that's hot?
No, he's just not. He just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry.
Okay. 0 being you hated it, 10 being it's a perfect movie. How many pens being popped off from Josh Hartnett do you give The Faculty?
Ooh, I'll give it 7 because I think it's a fun movie. I enjoyed watching it. It made me like smile a couple times, and again, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does have kind of some creepy moments.
I also wrote down 7 for my ranking. I think it's a good, fun popcorn horror movie, and the cast is amazing. And Kevin Williamson wrote it. He's got his clever dialogue in there, like pop culture references, fun stuff. Robert Rodriguez, I think he's solid. Wait, Robert Rodriguez just directed that Alita movie, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
I think he did. I don't want to see that, but whatever.
Anybody go see that?
I mean, if you did, what? Are you writing fanfic? I don't know.
We won't judge. You just do whatever pairing you want. We would never judge.
My favorite tweet that I saw about the Alita movie, Simon Barrett, who wrote Blair Witch, said he's got an advent calendar counting down the days for the release of Alita, but instead of candy, it's Tylenol PM. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I don't know who that movie's for. Did he direct that?
I think Robert Rodriguez might have directed it. Do you want to look it up so we're not, informing the masses? This is where you get your information, right, people? But, yeah, I mean, that's fine. But Robert Rodriguez, I thought it was a solid directed movie. And I love seeing Piper Laurie because, we've rewatched Carrie in the past couple years and, of course, Twin Peaks. And she's just this icon. And she was great.
Yeah, it's cool to have an icon like her in it. Wait, just tell me. Yeah, it is Robert Rodriguez. So he still has a career.
So, yeah. Well, we hope that you are writing or reading some amazing fanfic this week, Rewinders. And until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.